All right, let's another beautiful day. It's a beautiful month of May, the first of the days in the month of May. Yet, it's a workers' day, a public holiday here in Nigeria and several other places across the globe. So I wish all workers in the country a happy Labor celebration. Well, forget this idea of May Day, May Day, May Day. For those who use the plane, you know what that means. Well, some people say we are near that call by the pilots, but how do we resolve it if that call is coming from the pilot? Mayday, mayday, mayday. Okay, let me quickly explain for those who do not have. That's an SOS call from the pilot. Once the pilot say mayday, 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 is telling those on ground that there is crisis in the plane and he needs heavy, serious, immediate, instant assistance, or else the plane is heading towards the ground. I won't say more than that. And if that is the situation, really, with Nigerian workers, tripartite negotiation is about to begin or is going on where Nigerian workers are asking for an increment in what they are earning right now or what the national minimum wage is right now. Several complaints, issues across the land about gratuity, pensions, deductions, non-payment, delay in salaries, things that has to do with the welfare and remunerations of Nigerian workers. And it is the truth. There's this common saying that today's worker is tomorrow's pensioner. Yes, today's worker becomes tomorrow's pensioner. And civil servants or public servants, as it were, are permanent government. If you don't understand what that means, well, they will say they are the barrack. Soldier go, soldier come. The civil servant, the public servant is the one the governor will come to meet and leave. Is the one the commissioners will come to meet and leave after his own statutory tenure. But they must either complete their 30 or 35 years or 60 years before they leave, and they understand. So they are really the establishment. If that is true, that they are permanent government and the establishment, why have they not been able to solve this problem by themselves? I'm talking of the problem of gratuity, pensions, delay, and all those things. Why have they not have a structure that will control this? Why are they not putting things in place that will ensure that anybody who comes in as the chief executive officer or accounting officer, as they say, will ensure or will make sure that gratuity is paid as at when due, pensions is paid as at when due, and salaries are paid and not delayed. On this occasion of the Workers' Day, this is our focus on the Citizens Forum Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. Dele Ayodo is my name. Well, I'm not going to be alone. Several people are here. But first, let me introduce Chairman JNC, Comrade Olakanmi. Am I right? Sorry.
All right.
So he's the chairman of the Joint Negotiating Council of for workers in the state, and of course, Comrade too. Public analyst, journalist, broadcaster, in-house is part of us to do this. Biodun Bello has also gone through the system, so we'll tap from their experience this morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to be on the Voice of the People again. Comrade, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you very much. Good morning. And I want to say good morning to our listeners at home. Happy Workers' Day to everybody.
All right. Comrade Olakanmi, let's start from you straight on. That's the question I've been trying at so many people out there. Why have we not had these civil servants who are currently there active and carrying the files, writing the memos and signing, not been able to help the other people in government, the leadership of the government, to solve these payments, delay in remunerations, and so on and so forth?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say Comrade Dele Ayodo this time around, because all of us are comrades today, being a special day that marks Workers' Day. You see, the issue of inability of civil or public servants, as the case may be, to assist the leadership, that is the politicians, to solve the problem of salaries, deductions, and what have you. Let me first of all take you back to the military era. During the military era, there is nothing like deductions unpaid, salary unpaid. So definitely there's something wrong between the military regime and the politicians. Because you see, when we have a government in place and the issue of public or civil servants is not the most paramount issue in the heart of that government, there will always be a problem. There is little the civil servants will do to make sure that salaries are not being withheld. A situation, the permanent secretaries are equally civil servants. A situation where a government come on board fresh and the government is looking for how do we do this, how do we do this, and we have civil servants, those are the top echelon, advising that government that this is how we used to do it. We can, at least for the meantime, we can borrow part of these deductions. The deduction is about 500 million. We can borrow that, and after 2 months, we'll pay it. That is what the past government has been doing. And after 2 months, he has been paying. He has been paying. By the time you now see what is happening, the government will have owed 10 months deductions. These are civil servants that ordinarily supposed to be the custodian of files and what have you. They will be the one that will show a new government the way of how to owe workers deductions.
Interesting. Will you agree that there is little or nothing civil servant can do in this regard?
The buck stops on the table of his chief executive. If the governor is elected and he decides to take the permanent secretary from the Ministry of Education and post that person to the forestry, nobody's going to ask any question. What I see here very clearly, like Comrade has said, is that you see the yam and the knife is on the table of the executive, the chief executive, whether in the states, even in the local governments, or even on the federal level. So they decide exactly what is priority to them. The real reason why salaries are paid is for the society to run. The federal government, for example, has a 3-point-something million workers all over the nation's population. In Ogun State, I think they say we are close to 800 or 900,000. I'm not sure. And the real problem there is this: do we really have the resources to meet, number one, salaries of workers? If we do we have other priorities that are impinging on those commitments? So my take is this: there is inadequate payment for the worker that is established from the beginning. I cannot remember the last time, Dele, you will still remember, and then you also remember Idoji. I have never had something like that in the last 30 years, not even 16 or 18, that people will now celebrate and say, yes, there has been a serious increment in the takeaway. So we're talking about living wage. Living wage, before we get to the deductions, is not adequate. It is not regular. It is even almost not available in some cases. And you find, I don't want to start mentioning states here, everybody is celebrating, but I will tell you confirmedly that 27 states out of the 36 and Federal Capital Territory are owing salaries. All the states are owing one allowance withheld, borrowed, or anything or another. So all of those things are there. The income of the states, like we thank God in Ogun State, we are told on a daily basis that our income generation is rising. Is rising. And we want to praise them for that. But if it is thus rising, there is no need for us to hold allowances. There is no need for us to borrow 2 months and pay 2 months. Outright payments will have been the best thing.
That is the problem. I agree with you from what you have said, but the issue remains this. Now, for instance, the gratuity, the pensions, these are calculated, the formula in which it's done by those who are still working. Those who are not pensioners, they are the ones who do the paperwork for all this thing and pass to the chief executive or whoever is going to sign. And they know, the person who is still working knows that after this time period, I'm going to join this group of persons. and we see here stories of fraud. We see here stories of some people keeping the files, delaying treating the files. You understand? All these
I
things
do.
are there. So why, if we have all these things, do we blame the person who will just be there for 8 years or 4 years as he's living and is really learning on the job as far as the style of the civil service
Dele,
is
I know
concerned?
you are playing the devil's advocate. Have you forgotten that expression? Cash backing. You have not heard it before. Yes, everything
The
is
man
well
has
done.
given the approval. If he
He
gives the
has given,
approval
but there
and
is no
there's no
cash
cash
backing.
to have, but you,
The approval is
it
there.
still comes to the person treating the pay. You know that there is no cash for this approval.
Yeah. So what does it do? What will you do? There is nothing he's going to do unless the cash is there. The accountant general or whoever it was that has to pay will not be able to pay. That's why I talk about the priorities of how we send out these funds. Let me give you a clear example here. If a government is ambitious, they want to achieve and see to be seen to have achieved. The priority in the way they divulge the money that they're getting will be focused on that. Salaries and allowances, pensioners and all those things are standing orders. There is a card they call standing order in the bank. If you put them on standing order, that if this amount is paid, all other things being equal,
Okay,
you can leave it.
let me come in here.
Okay.
Now, let's say payment of salaries, pensions, gratuities, and all that has encapsulate the emolument of workers, either serving or retired, is done as and when due by the state government. And they also want to embark on capital projects. Like they say, you cannot just continue to budget for the current expenditure. You must make provisions, adequate provisions, on a higher percentage for capital projects. When they do that, what exactly could they do after that to reduce their cost of governing?
You want me to answer that question, or you
Yes.
want Comrade to answer?
I want you to.
All right, let me.
And then Comrade
Can support me. If you and Dele are putting me on the hot seat, I have asked them to put on the air conditioner so that it will not be hot. Now, Toby, you have said it very clearly. If the priorities of capital expenditure, the on points kind of analysis, is more than what you earn. Let's be practical. Ogun State gets between 2 point something and 3 point something before. Now, if you ask the commissioner for finance, they will be able to tell you exactly what we're getting from the federation account. But there is succor in this state as in terms of revenue generation, we are being told. If that is a standing order, you take away all the things that has to be done. I see the whole of Ogun State as a house. You have 3 children, mama and papa, and you have so many expenses that are compelling their needs, not wants. And if you can afford to take away the needs, that is when the ILO, that is the department, an agency of United Nations, is saying you have living wage. Do we have living wage? Can we live on 18,000 naira? Those are big questions. The NLC and all the other trade unions are saying 66.5 thousand, 40,000 as a minimum for pensioners. Are these wages enough as living wages? That is the question that May should be answering. Even if we get the 66,500, Toby, how many states can afford it? From Wike's analysis, that is the governor of River State, he said only 2 states may be able to afford it. Lagos and probably his own state, Rivers. And I want to submit here that it is quite possible that he added Rivers because he's the governor. which state is not owing when we talk of the 18,000? Which state will now owe when we talk of 66,500? Or even the elevation of the pensioners' minimum income to 40,000? You see, we are looking seriously at an utopian society, which is not possible. But let Comrade.
Okay.
Comrade Olakanmi.
Well, you see, the issue of a situation where if the governor or a government pays salaries, allowances, gratuity, and everything is supposed to pay as a when due, go ahead with execution of capital projects.
Hold on, Comrade. Some will tell you that after doing all that, there's nothing left for them. So
That is what they usually say.
Yes.
That if they have to pay salaries, deductions, gratuity, pension, that they will not have anything left for capital projects.
Is that true?
Partially it might be true.
Okay.
To some extent, it might be true because you see, according to the governor of Ogun State, the allocation from the federal government used to be between 4 and 5 billion when he came into office, according to him, when he came to office. But I'm privy to a situation where they received less than a billion. That was a particular month in a year that they received less than a billion. So in those situations, they have to run to the bank to borrow money to augment whatever they have, coupled with our internally generated revenue. So it is the fund that is coming from the federal government. The fund, one, is not enough. Two, the level of indebtedness of the states is alarming. And there is something we call ISPO, Irrevocable Standing Payment Order. So by the time the allocation is coming from the federal government who has put surety for them will deduct from source from their allocation. And this makes their allocation to continue to dwindle by the day. So by the time the little ones that is coming to the state come to the state, it will not be enough to do anything. So what they will now do is to pay net, knowing fully well that the deductions are not part of net. Instead of paying gross, they will now go ahead and pay net salary so that they will be able to carry out capital projects. So the problem is still, it's like the problem is still rigmaroling. The problem is still rigmaroling. So the way out is what we are fashioning out. Yes, Comrade BB spoke of the issue of living wage, 66,500. Yes, that is the request of labor in Nigeria today. Affordability of that fund will hang on the readjustment of federal allocation. That was one of the requests, that the federal allocation needs to be readjusted. That is the percentage at which the federal government takes the state vis-a-vis the local government. The sharing formula will have to be affected. The sharing formula will have to be affected. If the sharing formula is affected, definitely there will be a way out.
Let us look at this issue to help you answer that question that I asked earlier. I was looking at one particular issue that people have talked about, and that is the emolument of political appointees and political hangers-on, which is a very weighty part of the wage bill. Unless you're trying to tell me that it's not part of the wage bill. But if it is, I would expect Labour to be championing the reduction in the number of aides, the number of commissioners, the number of special advisors, the senior special assistants, the number of special assistants, and the number of personal assistants. All right, that cascade down even to the local council development authorities now. They are no longer only in the local government at the state level, but also at the local government and the LCDAs. So if you reduce the bill, maybe that will free up funds for execution of projects and at the same time payment of salaries. Why is Labour not at the vanguard of championing this?
Well, I want to believe when we get to the bridge, we know how to cross it. Labour at the national level.
When are we going to get to the bridge?
We will soon get to the bridge. Labour at the national level
Yes.
are clamoring for this. That I know. You know, the thing is going to be national. The national income, salaries, wages, and commission will have to be involved. And this tripartite committee that is taking care of the new minimum wage, the supposed or the proposed new minimum wage, we have the National Income and Wages Commission there, the governors, the state governors, we have 6 state governors, they were there, and we have the federal government representatives, even the private public enterprises are equally there. So I want to believe by the time or before they resolve at a particular amount, they will need to look for how do we pay these things. So the issue of the salaries or the emolument of political appointees is not even ordinary aids. Let look at what is happening at the national assemblies. I want to believe ditto to the state assemblies. It is the ones that are published that we can see. I don't know how much the state assemblies are taking. The day we will see that too, maybe we'll carry. It will be alarming. I wouldn't know. So by the time all these ones are touched, definitely the state governments and even the local governments will be able to afford whatever they arrive at, and at the same time carry out capital projects.
Now, you hold on, please. You talked about we don't know how much the senators and House of Rep collect. Let us come to the state, for example. I think that Labour should have an actual figure of how much the state government spends monthly on payment of salaries, pensions, and whatnot. What is the wage bill monthly in Ogun State?
Well, the wage bill, the monthly wage bill in Ogun State, that we know is different from the one that the government talks. The government tells us it pays between 8 and 9 billion in a month. Between 8 and 9 billion in a month. But the wage bill of the core civil service,
Does that include the permanent secretaries?
Yes, including the permanent secretaries, is between 3 and 3.5 billion for the core civil service. But we have the parastatals there. We have the other agencies there. The House of Assembly is there. The teaching hospitals is there. And the political office holders, inclusive in the one that the governor says between 8 and 9 billion.
Definitely that is what the government pays, because government has to pay for all these group of
exactly. But we don't know how much.
My question, addition to what Tobi has asked on this issue of payment and political wage is this. Now, for sure, I'm not sure there is any assignment, any political aid brought in by government is doing that. We cannot have somebody in the public service, civil service that can do it. Is that true or false?
There is no assignment. There is no special assignment.
I don't think
assigned to them.
Any
There's
assignment, either as PA,
no.
PA water, PA crime, PA environment.
Most of them have nothing to do, sir.
Now, okay, if that is so, why is it difficult, or why don't we have labor, organized labor now, leaders querying this right from the start? Why is it difficult? Why have labor not been focused on this direction and say, no, sir, these things you are bringing somebody to come and do, there is an officer here on level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or so that can do it?
You see, these political appointees, these SA, AA, whatever, the government of the day, in any state, any government that is going to appoint them, they don't appoint them at the inception of their tenure. It is at the middle of their tenure that they will now say, okay, senior assistant to whatever. They are not working in government offices. They are not working at our own ministries. They have their offices, and whatever they are doing in their offices.
I know those who have offices in the secretariat.
They have no, it's in the secretariat, but they are not in the civil service. Their assignment is not in the civil service at all. We have
and
our
why
civil
did you
service
permit them to use the secretariat as their office, government secretariat?
It's government secretariat. It's not. It's not.
But you just said the assignment has nothing to do with government work.
Yes, the assignment has nothing to do with government work, but because when we are passing file from A, B, C, and D to the permanent secretary, where the box stop, I have not seen an area where a file will be referred to special assistant or special SSA on whatever. On whatever. The files goes from the table to the table of the assistant director, from assistant director to deputy director, from director then to the permanent secretary, and to wherever the file is going, the execution of the content of the files. But I've never seen a situation where they will say, okay, pass this to SA whatever. So those SA are SA to the governor on so and so. They are not SA to workers. So they are SA to the governor. So whatever assistance they are giving the executive governor. It is not we labor that they are giving the assistance to. They are giving the executive governor those assistance.
Comrade Olakanmi, it's good you are saying this because you are the one who have also said at the beginning of this program that this problem were not there during the military era.
They are not there.
And I know very well that why they were not there is what you have just said. For instance, it is the head of service who also doubles and works as the SSG.
Exactly.
I also know that many of these PAs to commissioner are picked. Even media officers are picked from the ministry.
Exactly.
So, which is their job, and they don't have special salary for it except remunerations to encourage them. So, if this is true, why can't we carry it on and ensure? Because you are the one, like I said in my intro, you are the permanent government.
Well, I think I can come in here.
Yes.
You see, we don't have to forget one important thing: politics. Politics starts from grassroots campaigning. There are some champions who ensure, whether rightly or wrongly, that a particular candidate is voted for emerge and eventually becomes executive, whether at the local government or state or anything like that. In a particular state, why not even, yes, it's published, Cross River States, there are over 3,000 assistant special Imo as I mean, the governor has categorically Tobi, he came out to tell everybody that it's compensation for their own involvement, for those who assisted him, and it is another way of making the crumbs to drop. So the grassroots, so it is part of politics. Don't let us neglect politics. As special assistants, there is nowhere in our laws that says the governor has to appoint this. It is his priority. My own recommendation would have been there are certain funds that are exclusive to the executive, to the governors, to the president. Why don't they pay those special exclusive assistants from those funds that we don't know, like for example the security fund, and nobody knows. We are talking here now about a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria taking away 13,500 naira as overhead every month. 13 million, sorry. And you have the, what do you call them, the RMC, the whatever, the one that revenue mobilization says he should not take more than 700 and something as salary. You have members of the House of Representatives who takes home 8 million naira as overhead. He spends it whichever way he wants and justify it by retirement. And there is nothing the Labour has been able to do about that. Because for me, I'm glad that Comrade is here. Labour blows hot and cool. When it is time for us to talk about, for 130 years, we have been celebrating the International Labour's Day. We have been doing that. We started here in Nigeria in just about 30 years or 31 years ago. The days of the Hassan Sumanus are gone. The days of the Arishis, the days of the Parayomodu are all gone. We have vibrant people who are very, very educated. You listen to Dr. Raymond when he speaks about national issues, you will be amazed. Oshamale was a product of labor. So, but then, the present crop of leadership that we have in all the trade unions are not seeing themselves, forgive me, as a real force to tackle government or to be opposition democratically. Comrade Arabambi was there a few days ago. I was listening to him. He said Labour is the most potent opposition to government in Ogun State. I beg to disagree. Whether the Labour Party is different from the Nigerian Labour Congress is where he will clarify my thinking. The Labour Party as a political party is a different thing. Please educate me. The Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, Pengasan, NUT, all of them, they are a very legal, potent organization. When you bring all of this together, government will bow.
Now, can you react to what we did, that politicking now by those of you who are labor leaders is really part of the problem. Because the theme of this year, for instance, we are saying labor in national development. So all labor does every time is increase our salaries, increase our wages. How could that turn to national development?
Well, thank you very much. You see, the way labor is structured in Nigeria, it's from the national down to the state and to the local government. When we talk of NLC, TUC, that is the two major centers, labor centers that we have. It is the national headquarters that bears the name. We are only branches of those two agencies. So when we talk of national development, the whole thing comes from the national headquarters. As far as state branches is concerned,
sorry, Comrade Abiodun. Where is national?
The national is in Abuja. Nigeria Labour Congress.
What makes up Nigeria? What makes up the nation? What makes up the nationality?
Truly, it is the combination of the states. No, it's the states. But
it's from here.
It's from here.
The local government, the states, before you can have it.
We agree. It is even the state and the local government that makes the national. Because when we are doing a delegate conference, we make the national. But the moment they are elected into power, they become the organ of the Congress. They become the organ of the Congress. And assignment comes directly from them. Because by the time all this money we are talking about, check off this, whatever, we send it to the national for their operation. We send it to the national. 50% of whatever we take goes to the national. So the remaining 50% is shared between state and the units. That is the local government. So majority of that money goes to the national for the assignment. So we expect, you see, any action taken at the national, definitely the state will carry it out. The state cannot negotiate for salaries. It is national that will negotiate for salaries. Whatever they negotiate for is what the state will work on. The only thing that state does is, like when we talk of fuel crisis issue, when we talk of operation sit at home against a government policy, the directive will have to come from the national headquarters. A state will not say, okay, sit at home against a national policy, and there is no state policy. If there is a state policy that is against labor, we engage the state. We have been engaging the state. We have meeting. We hold meeting with Ogun State government on regular basis. Except that on this issue of deductions and what have you, we don't have an understanding.
Okay, Biodun Bello will assist us in this, but I also want you to give us a clue. Where is the line? How do we draw it between labor leaders and politicians' rapport or friendship?
Thank you very much. You see, that's a very big issue. I can only speak for myself. That there is a big demarcation between my leadership as JNC chairman and politician. We don't have any connection, no connection of any level with politicians. And what the government of the day is looking at is the rapport. If anybody has a rapport with the opposition, that's where we shoot ourselves below the belt. Even with the state, with the government of the day, if the union is not in synergy, like we have TUC, we have NLC. JNC is a conglomerate of the two, okay? Like have the two trade center. If they are not speaking with one voice, if a particular union is dining and whining with the government, even the government of the day, and the other one is not dining and whining with the government of the day, there will be problem. In that state, it will be very hard for us to get everything we need from the government. I'm not talking about Ogun State, but in any state that happens. So definitely there should be a real demarcation between labor and politics. Like if you want to be a politician, you drop the labor slogan and join politics. There should be demarcation.
Do we need the comrade? Do we need
comrade? I mean, I am really I'm very impressed, and I share with him the pains. When you say whining and dining with government, it translates to compromise. That is, maybe a particular union or unit is compromising the labor tenets, and the other one is compromising it. What I would love all of us to see is this. One, government is the government of the people. Anybody that is sitting there is representing us. Labor represents workers in whichever unit. There are so many workers. The workers' needs, not wants, needs must be met. If you even have to dine and wine with the government, very, very honestly, I will recall a very good incident. Dele was there. The Ogun State governor, when I talk like this, they all take it very seriously, gave us a land. I'm talking of labor now. Built a fine secretariat. We moved out of the GRA challenge and moved to a very fantastic place. I was there at the inauguration, and by the grace of God, on that day of the opening of a new hall there, Ogun State government gave a bus and a car to each of the units. About 9 or 8 buses, cars was given out. Everybody was there. And immediately after that, the Labour Congress, that was where I departed from the Labour Congress here, I will tell you here today, invited politicians to come and launch,
turn the
sword of the shopping complex, and they turned the whole thing into a political issue. A lot of other people like myself left. I was the anchor person. I left. That is one area where you say there is a big, serious one. Well, if I'm government, yes, you were there. We left together with the life of Comrade Abiodun and all. If you are government, how would you feel? That is on one side. But me, I'm more seriously concerned about the worker, because today is the celebration of the day of the worker in every state of Nigeria. Like Dele said, I should say something. I visited a lot of states because of my assignments. There is no single worker that is satisfied in Nigeria, and a lot of people who were voted there, who these workers voted there, are oversatisfied and they are vomiting. And Labour will come up for me with impossible requests that can easily.
Sorry, just hold on there, because he will not be with us for a second. Let me quickly ask him if you take that. From what Tobi has said, Comrade Olakanmi, yes, no, many or all Nigerian workers are now, but whose fault? Why are they not happy?
The system.
Whose fault? Who made the system faulty?
Well, Labour in one way, the leadership in one way, and the government. Well, that's why I say the system. The government and Labour in one way. Because, you see, the situation we are presently, when the minimum wage of 18,000 minimum wage, which is not even a minimum wage, not a living wage for 2 weeks. So the fault is basically the system, which is politicians. The infiltration of the politicians. That's the system.
All right. Yet we will at this point take the break to allow the national news to come up at 10. We're sorry about this. Olakanmi will not be with us after the news. The Labour celebration is on, and he has a major role to play at the venue, so he has to be there as one of the leaders. We thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much for joining. And of course, be sure that Biodun Bello will still be with us after the 10 o'clock news. Stay tuned. All right, it's good to know that you are still there listening to Rock City on 1.9 FM Citizens Forum on the Daybreak Show this May Day, the workers' celebration, the first day of the month of May. It's a public holiday out there, but we must keep in touch with you. Yes, as the voice of the people will let you know as it's going elsewhere. If we are able to get in touch with Taiwo Fabajo, who is there where the celebration is on, we will let you listen to his report. But in the meantime, we return to the studio. Apologies, Comrade Olakanmi, JNC Ogun State Chairman, has left. He has to be at the program. He has an important role to play there. But we still have with us our own Biodun Bello in the studio. Straight on, let's just open the lines. Let's get your own comments so that Biodun Bello can take reactions.
All right, so if you want to call 0809 868 7344 are the numbers to call. You can also reach us via the short code 32120. All you have to do is to type rock, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and send to 32120. Our social media platforms are also available. At Rock City FM is the Twitter handle. And you can also reach us on our Facebook front page of Rock City FM 11.9. The rules remain the same. If you're calling, you have to turn down the volume on your radio set. You have to tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go straight to the point. Don't come up with claims. You cannot substantiate. Don't attack personalities. And there's no need for you to react or disagree with another person's opinion or even criticize an opinion. We might disagree, but of course we need to criticize or rubbish that opinion. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dele. Good morning, my brother, Biodun Bello. I am Kola Oluwatu. I'm calling from Batala Peputa. I say happy workers' day. I want to say when we talk of NSC agitating for increasing workers' pay, the NSC at this point action speaks only of the commerce sector. Any point of increment always leaves us in the commerce sector. And when we talk of labor union or NSC, it is widely encompassing. Then I ask, what is the pay of a graduate working perhaps in a private school and whose salary is not up to the current minimum wage or working in any other informal sector at that? And unfortunately, all that is named under labor we go out today to celebrate today. Also, and also to boost, I continue to emphasize the sector that bears the brunt and get the short end of the stick of any wage increase are the pensioners. Harmonization, fast percentage increment from previous wage increase are this year. Ideas of pension are this year. And to see another wage increase is around the corner. In all, every day government workers twice. Wage increase and to mark another workers day. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kola Oluwatu. All right, we'll move on. Let's have the word. Good morning. Somebody's there.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my name is Comrade Abiodun Olakanmi. I'm calling from the Good Parliament in Abeokuta. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to really like the way others have been treated in this compared to you. A lot of people have died that they are not paid, and you could enjoy their activity once again.
Sorry, we may call back since we're not going to submissions.
Yeah,
Hello,
good morning. Good morning, Tobi.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Abiodun Bello. Morning, Dele. My name is Dr. Tongtong from Asherity. Happy Workers Day. Dele, you raise an issue which people run away from discussing. Why is it that when people are active in civil service, they don't correct this anomaly? What we're discussing with salary increase, this and all that. That's not what we're talking about. Dele, I had a problem with someone in one of our state institutions. An old man had just come in about the pension. Look at the way they play this man around in the pension office. I took the man to the man. I said, look, this man is old that tomorrow will be your turn. Don't think that you are going to escape it. What you have done to this man, he was dragging the man. The man was weeping. Is that government? That is why that man, I wish that man in NSC would have been there. The problem with pension, leave government alone, is the civil service. When they don't get your their documentation, they play you around. Nobody is there when you go and see them. And what are you and what have you? And when it's their turn, they now start shouting, pension. The problem is that the documentation is faulty at times. They deliberately make it so. That is what they do. Some of them believe, the young man, they believe that they will not get to 60. But when it comes to 60, they can't do anything because they think they are too. That is an illusion. That is one of the problems we have in pension. So when they say, I remember a student that he was complaining, he was with civil service about pension. I told him, sir, when you were there, what did you do? That could not say anything. Could not say anything. Because that's the problem. What did you do? Forget about government, forget about deduction. people want to do. People are coming to complain, or some people are saying pension for 5,000 naira. That is what you deserve. You
All right,
can
thank you.
pension.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nkong. Okay, thank you, Dr. Nkong. Actually, that's we are not talking about minimum wage or salary increment. Really, like you said, we want to draw the attention of those who are still working, who will be tomorrow's pensioners. What can be done while they are still there to ensure that these complaints about non-payment of gratuity, pensions, salaries, deductions, what have you, ends. That's our focus. Let me again, on behalf of the entire parliamentarian, yes, for and against, condole with you, Dr. Nkong, on the death of your mother. The burial will come up this weekend in Akwa Ibom.
Yes.
Yes, she's aged, but nobody wants to lose a member of the family. So we condole with you, all the parliamentarians, Dr. Ebenezer Nkong. Okay.
All right, so let's take more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Ayodo from Obanjoko.
Thank you.
Hello, please, I want to use this occasion of Workers' Day to appeal to the governor of Ogun State, Governor Ibikunle Amusu, to please pay the arrears of workers, Ibono, and the arrears of deduction of cooperatives. In fact, it has led to a disaster to the workers. Please, help us to appeal to him. So please, come to our king since we have been appealing to him. God bless you.
All right, thank you. That's exactly what we are talking. How will this appeal not come again? How did it really start? Those are issues we are trying to find. Let's add one call to you, Tobi, and then maybe Double B will. Yes, hello. Hello.
Good morning, Dele.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine.
That will be good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Taiwan Yambodi from Capcom Nigeria. Yes, thank you, Mr. Dele. What about minimum wage for pensioners? There are pensioners who are still earning 2,000, 5,000. What do we do? That pensioner that says whenever there's any increase in minimum wage, 50% of that increment should be given to pensioners. But we don't want that. We want them to give us minimum pension. What should be the minimum pension? Okay. Having said that, Mr. Double B, let's give a sidelight on this bank who are exploiting their workers. Especially probably they are giving up. They exploit their workers. They are not promoted. They are not converted. Who are still paid NG salary. Whereas some of them have acquired their degrees and so on and so forth. Only a chartered accountant are still paid wage of NG.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's big bank.
Thank you, sir. Your 2 minutes up. Thank you. Double B.
Really, thank you. I think I'll start from the last one. The present negotiation that the NLC is trying to do with the federal government, which is 66,500, also comes with a rider of 40,000 minimum wage for pensioners. We can put our hands together and continue to pray. Maybe it will come to pass. As far as workers' exploitation are concerned, it is not only in a particular bank. The private sector is replete of this exploitation. Workers, because there is no job, nothing, they cannot do anything about this. They have to take it on the strikes. Some people are even being surcharged, even where they work. Their salaries that is already meager are taken away. Some don't get it for one discrepancy or the other, some error or the other. There are a lot of things that the informal sector needs to be able to be part of this day's celebration. As far as the May Day celebration is concerned, it concerns only, yes, the organized labor or the formal sector. Abayomi Adewale, please pay workers' salaries, arrears, leave bonuses, and deductions. I think it has gone well. The governor will listen to that and do his best. How can Dr. Okon be so careless? How can, my friend, how can you be so careless? You lost your mother, a whole mother. All right, doctor. Well, don't worry, my brother. It is time. And that is why my mom had to leave. I know that by the grace of God, she's resting in the bosom of the Almighty. We on behalf of the parliamentary outhouse, not the one that Dele said, we are going to Akwa Ibom, but there's nothing you can do about that. Yes, the collection of these anomalies, we have all gone through it. When I retired, although I was out of age when I left service, I left immediately. I was 50 because of some international appointments. I want to say categorically that a particular director at the Bureau of what do they do? They gave me a call.
Bureau of Pensions?
Pensions, yeah. Gave me a call that my documents are ready, they have been processed, my checks are ready and everything. I went there 2 or 3 days after that one, and I got there. They said I have to go and see this, see that. I said, no. The director called me. He said, Oga, yes. Oga called me, and I went in, and everything went so. Was it because I'm double B? Beginning to think about now with Dr. Onkon's submission. A lot of people are suffering. And when you are there now, you are listening. Do the needful and do the right thing. Because like we will say on this forum, workers today, pensioners tomorrow. So take note. I didn't actually get land judges, but I know that he's talking about dislike for workers' treatment.
He will call back.
He will try and call back or text. I trust him. Everywhere, I have said it before we took the break. Workers are absolutely unhappy. In our country, workers are not happy. So if you are celebrating May Day or whatever today is another jamboree. After 130 years of labor worldwide struggle, 37 years of struggle of May Day adoption in Nigeria, minimum wage is still an impossibility. Over 73% of those who are eligible to work cannot work. There is also the issue of underemployment. All of this results into a high level of poverty. And as long as we remain poor, we cannot see clearly. That is a very important. Yes, the formal sector is what we are celebrating. The informal sector we have divided it here today is not celebrated. In as long as they are not unionized, in as long as we don't have a total body, or whether you work in the private sector, or whether you push the truck in the market, or whether you are one of those who is collecting what do you call it now? Tickets, giving tickets on the streets. When we have the kind of labor body that transforms and transmits into a labor party, like in Britain, in Ireland, in Netherlands, in Australia, in almost all over the world. When we have that, that is when the issue of worker, this is your living wage that is correct, that will be possible.
All right, we return to the telephones 0809868744 or 0909146967.
Hello, good morning.
Move away from the radio, please, quickly.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
This is Abiodun Olakanmi, and I'm calling from Ayodo. Good morning, Dele.
Morning, pensioner.
Good morning, Tobi.
Morning, sir.
And thank you for a job well done.
Thank you, sir.
And congratulations to Nigerians on this August occasion. I just want us to look critically on this issue of workers' welfare, either minimum wage, the constitutional provision, and what have you. understand the issue of labor is in the exclusive legislative bill. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hello?
The issue of labor or
And yes,
minimum wage.
minimum wage.
Yes.
Yes, it's on the
It's on the exclusive. You're right, sir.
Now, no realize since all this agitation began, nobody has thought it fit to say something about the revenue mobilization and fiscal commission. These are the redistribution of what do you call it now? The federal government taking so many percentage, the states and local government and what have you. What do you call it? Hello?
Hello.
Revenue allocation formula.
Yes. In other words,
Revenue allocation formula.
yes, there's no positive move to increase what comes to the coffers of local government and state government to justify the payment of minimum wage. I hope you are getting it.
With you.
Yes. Action and reaction must be equal and opposite. Except federal government does something to improve that aspect, you'll be surprised that even if it is pronounced, some things that cannot just stay. And if this decree is pronounced, we expect federal government to make it compulsory that state government should pay workers directly. You see what happened to all these bailout funds? It is as bad as that.
All right, sir.
Anybody that is relieved, I don't think the federal government have control over.
All right, thank you. Your 2 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dele. That's why I'm trying to.
All right, thank you. More calls. Hello. Hello, somebody. Good morning. You are on. Good morning.
Oh, my dear brother, Dele, good morning.
Morning.
I'm from House University.
Pastor Dubola. Oyebola, okay.
Where the young daddy of Biodun Bello. Please help me to tell Biodun Bello to look for me. My house is near PGBC. It's my son.
Okay,
So
sir.
my contribution this morning is that Labour has been doing fine. But what we are saying is what you are saying. They suppose to lay to the government and see the problem of their people. We are not saying they should be going on strike or otherwise, but they should seek redress from the federal government on how the workers will enjoy either when they are still in service or after they might have retired. It takes time to do it, but they should relate to the government so much that they should inquire much in the day-to-day spending of the government to know exactly what they have, what they can do, as you have been saying. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, thank you. Messages to be, do we have them?
All right, let's quickly check some of them. Let's start with the tweets. Kunle Gap says, what's Labour doing to the issue of pensions and gratuity? How can somebody work for 35 years and it will be difficult to pay upon retirement? Comrade Abiodun says, everyone says increment to the minimum wage will bring about rise in inflation rate, but they fail to do the economic balance. If you dread inflation, you must also be dreadful of penury to workers. There must be the balance. Workers deserve a good life. Yamida Vinci says, happy Workers' Day to everyone. I'm quite happy with Comrade Olakanmi's submissions as he didn't try to hide behind a finger. That would be, as usual, has been insightful. The truth of the matter is that nobody takes the labor movement seriously anymore because of politicians in labor garbs. We all witnessed what happened in Ogun State some years ago, and I'm happy there will be also mentioned another one. Who came out to honor the labor call for protest the last time there was increase in petroleum prices? No one. It's a shame. All right, those are two from Yemi Da Vinci. Comrade Camille says the division in the labor union is what baffles me. There can be common interest if this continues. Parties to this division should shelve their swords and come together for the interest of Nigerian workers. Dr. Kushimo says, Happy Workers' Day. I wish every worker would make an assessment of his or her commitment and diligence to duty as regards the pension problems. Pensioners are not appropriately treated, thus no encouragement to happily await pension time. All right, Dele,
All right,
Maybe we should just start from Dr. Kush. Doctor, I hope you're doing fine. It's been quite a while. Another very good resource person. Pensioners are inappropriately treated. There are two areas. I will also take that one with that of Akorede, my friend Camille, and my friend Yemi Da Vinci, and Kunle. Everybody is talking about inappropriate treatment of pensions. You know, there is something we need to get very clear. When the pension scheme was changed, that it became a contributory pension, there are two important aspects of this pension scheme. The contribution of the person that is taking the salary, the worker, and the contribution of the employer. If the 7% that is supposed to be contributed by Dele is done, and the 7% that is supposed to be contributed by Rock City FM is not done, a lot of problems started already. One, your own contributions continues, the other one doesn't come, you don't even get the accrued interest that you will get. That is one. Then when the time of payment comes, it is impossible to pay you because your employer has not done the contribution. Before that scheme, it was a little bit easier, but the contribution was little. And a lot of pensioners are earning less than 3, 4, 5, 10,000 naira based on the previous scheme. And it is still there. So pensioners' income, or whatever you call it, review is already, it is very, very necessary. It is very, very important. And Labour has not taken that as part of their struggle. But this time around they are. From what we have heard, from what they said 40,000 naira, we just pray and hope that it gets there. Baba Pastor Toyiwala is my father, and it's been quite a while that I've seen him. We agree that the same thing is still federal government should make workers enjoy. If we cut corners, we will not be able to enjoy. If, for example, we just sit down and continue to look at what other people are earning, like for the federal structure, for example, Dele, it takes a very difficult constitutional procedure to be able to change all these revenue sharing. It takes a difficult constitutional procedure to even allocate funds directly to the local government. It takes very, very lopsided procedure to be able to even amend any part of the constitution. So we continue and continue and continue to rigmarole on the same thing, except, of course, all the unions, all the trade unions, all the organized and informal sector come together to say this is what we want. Maybe the Akin, yes, the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Committee recommended a particular salary for everybody, especially government and public officials, including either elected or appointed. But we have known that all of those salaries or allocation, whatever, is outrageous. Nobody has sat them down to say review it downward. Even instead, we don't know whether they are going to review it upward. And that is why we have this problem that Baba is trying to tell us. There is no consideration for even tinkering an inch with what the pensioners are paying, whichever grades they may come from, whether local, states, or whatever. The pensioners, yes, Dele again, workers today, pensioners tomorrow.
Alright, once again, we return to the telephones. Let's add your voice. Hello.
0809-868-7344. 0909 1469670. All right, I think we just quickly take more of the tweets and messages. Comrade Abiodun tweeted this: when an average Nigerian worker hears such a humongous amount of money being paid to the lawmakers and other people in government, the thinking will be, am I living a different life? Let the state think of the box, think out of the box, to generate more revenue to meet up their responsibilities. Olasukomi Ayodo says we are in a world where the rich and powerful will always dominate and subjugate the poor and the weak. Truth be told, workers are suffering. Yamidavici says when permanent secretaries are the ones giving government pointers to governors on how to deal with the labor unions, and I don't see who in the near future. Another angle we are not looking at is pensions and gratuities for people in the private sector. A popular media organization is said to be owing its workers over 1 billion naira. How will such a place pay contribution pensions at all? What we need to do is to tie all emoluments of politicians and political appointees to minimum wage. Thus, RMAFC can be scrapped, and anyone who wants increment in emoluments will have to increase minimum wage. On behalf of online parliamentarians, I commiserate the doctor who come on the death of his mother. We may not be able to follow him to Akwa Ibom, but we'll wait for him when he gets back to demand our Owambe. Come, you can hear that. So when you come, expect to share goodies among parliamentarians. This message says Nigeria labor of today is like a dog without teeth. Without teeth, a labor of today is not effective. They have eaten dodo. So one is more they can't be relied upon again, unlike the times of Adams and Shomole. That's Pius from Shajem. Please ask the comrade whether the NLC at the state level were not members of National Executive of NLC. Thanks, Olushidiogunton sent in that. Labor union is independent of government and democratically at liberty to approach or deal with anyone legally, just as its members and civil servants are entitled to membership of any political party of their choices by settled court case. Cosmos from the People's Center sent in that. Ikechukwu Lisa says it is a pity and also unfortunate that labor is no longer what it used to be in the past because the body has lost control. So why are they lamenting? I agree with Governor Wike's position. We cannot use the cost of living in Rivers or Lagos to compare that of Zamfara or Ebonyi. That is a very big issue that the NLC need to go back and look into. Let's do this call.
All right, let's take this call. Hello.
Good morning,
Morning, sir.
everybody in the house. I want to congratulate all workers and pensioners alike.
Your name, sir?
My name is Comrade Rotimi from here in Abeokuta. Each time I think about this unremitted deduction of those people in contributory pension scheme, my heart bleeds. It gives me sleepless nights. From 2025, some people will be retiring to CPS. What are they going to retire on? In fact, I don't know. It seems some of the workers doesn't think to that level. I want to call on present government of Ogun State, probably other states that are concerned. So please, start remitting these deducted funds so that the contributory, those people managing the distance, the funds, be able to trade with it, and the workers have their own, what they call. I left my case.
All right, thank you. Thank you. 0909146967. Hello. Hello. Move away from the radio, sir. Hello. Right, let's check the other line.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Dele.
Morning.
Tobi.
Good morning.
And our own double B. This is Alan greeting you on this workout day.
Good morning, sir.
So kindly allow me this to differ a bit from all that has been said. Now, you will agree with me that one reason why uh, local government allocation was brought in was just to increase the wages that goes into the different governments. Now, I want to suggest this, that Labour should advocate for the scrapping of local government or local government allocation, and that the monthly allocation bill should be divided between the federal and state government, and that each state government should be left to create as many local governments as they wish, and then give them their own dues from the state allocation. Because look at it, Kano state was at one time with 44 local governments. Thereafter, Jigawa was hewn out, and still, Kano is still enjoying about 40 local governments, and Jigawa are additional 17 local governments. How do you consider this? So I'm advocating, as I suggest to the Labour, that they should canvass for the scrapping of local government under the federal government, and that each state should be left alone to create the number of local governments.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, thank you. That's a suggestion, his opinion. Hello, 0909146. You are on.
Hello,
Move
good morning.
Yes, morning.
Mr. Dele, double P himself.
Good morning.
My name is Big Daddy from Ayodo Way. I'm Mr. Tobi.
Good morning.
Yeah, please, the comment is not here, because we have reached an agreement that Mr. Dele is not going to be a comment, he's going to be a GP. So,
It's going to be what?
I want to ask, a justice of peace now, probably we will
Okay.
have that coverage. So I want to know that, please, if the government is collecting 18,000 naira minimum, if you really collecting 18,000 as a salary, because some people are collecting up to 400 today, because 18,000 is like to 60 something, it's just like 300 and or you know the percentage what it looks like. Those people will be collecting 1 million naira or more. So I want you to know that look at the people today that is above, look what they are collecting. They are mentioning the 18,000 minimum wage. I want you to understand again that we are comparing like America, like our former vice president said, that Nigeria is collecting the cheapest price in minimum wage. I want him to know that the structuring over there is better. There is more power in the state than the federal. But today, people are using us to compare to America. But here, they cannot be able to pay the 18,000 naira. But still yet, we want to make it 60. What are they going to do that thing will be able to be paid? Because I'm surprised that if it is up to 60, so the workers will be collecting around 20, and the rest is going back to the governors. And if we see different ministry that doesn't work it, that is going to lavish money. And one other thing is that workers, they are not being good to us. The government
quickly.
they could have fight for the reduction of food price. They did not.
Thank
They
you.
don't want to do it. Look what happened to Ghana.
Thank you. 2 minutes, sir.
Will not be useful again.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
All right. Yes.
Good morning, Double B. Yeah, my name is Honorable Larry Jaji. I'm calling from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta. The network was not any problem on me the other time. That is the sign of the session. Now, what I'm saying is, you have an opportunity to be in the pension office as a civil servant, as opposed to help other people that I get, out of the service. Am I on here?
Yes, please.
Yes, you are.
Yes, yes. I mean, as a civil servant, you have opportunity either in the pension office or whatever, make sure that you are there to help other people in the service, because come by God, it shall be your turn. But at the same time, it's kind of person that we are not able to pension and gratuity. Please,
All right, thank you. That will be the last call. Let's check the messages and we'll come back to Biodun Bello.
Oh, this okay. This has nothing to do with what we are discussing this morning. Sorry, can't take it. And all right, I think we just take that would be
And I will pick it quickly from Camille. Think outside the box. I've had that expression severally on so many things. And I want us to really look at how do we think outside the box when it comes to all the things that are done. Camille, I'm sure you continue to communicate, you were parliamentarian too, with us and say, think outside the box means a lot of things to me. So for me, the rich and the poor will always live side by side. It is just that the rich should live more considerably so that the poor can simply live. It is a very, very important thing. As far as Yemi is concerned, yes, I agree with you. The PS2 gets his own pension, and whether gratuity or not, the private sector does not have any guarantee of this. These are the things that the Labour Congress and the unions should look at. Pious, I will not repeat what you have said. We don't like to say things that will put people on the edge. The NLC may have their problems. We want them to correct it. We won't call them the kind of dogs without teeth and all that. Not on this platform. Thank you very much for that. Then the representatives of the people. Hey, I don't know which people are being represented or who is representing who. Yeah, but the point remains that we are unhappy and we are dissatisfied and we are begging and begging that people should do something. Yes, we agree with you. Ikechukwu Labour should come together. They are no longer the same. And the Comrade Rotimi, contributory pension is a disaster. We agree. Government should remit it. It's not only government, everybody. Parastatals and all those private people who are in contributory pension should remit the amount. Thank you, Sir Alabajon. The suggestion has been heard. Scrap the local government. Some people, a lot of people may disagree with you. Some people may not, but that's your opinion, and that is what this forum is all about. Post your opinion as innocently and as smartly, and everybody will hear it. Emeka Big Daddy, Justice of Peace, that you're giving to Dele, okay, I agree. 18,000 naira is level 1, step 1.
That's the minimum or the
That
least
is the least
anybody
that
can
they should pay. But then a lot of people are paying far less than that in the private sector and outside in the unorganized labor informal sector. So people may get level 17 step the last and get up to what you have said. You are very, very correct. Landry, that's very good. Help pensioners where you are in office. Don't make them suffer because workers today, pensioners tomorrow.
All right, we thank everybody who's joined us on this public holiday edition, Tuesday, May 1. Like we do say, Happy New Month. And I say, God bless you all. God bless Nigeria and God bless Rock City. Dele, Ayodo is my name.
I want to really also appreciate the guest, Comrade, who left earlier, and of course, Double B. We appreciate you once again. Thank you for always heeding the call whenever you receive it.
He's home.
All right, I am Tobi Joseph. Happy May Day. God bless you.